Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to BrainScratch Commentaries playthrough of Nikki Done a Bad. So, Canopy Village, right here, this level is the reason I burnt out halfway through my recording. If I were playing this normally, I'd just say fuck it and stop trying and move on to the next level, because you really don't need all the heart containers to have an easy time beating this game, but I wanted to show off where all the heart containers were. So, basically, you have to get to the end of this area, up at the top. There's some deadly platforming, you're gonna fall to the bottom. But that's not even the worst part of getting this heart container. Just watch. Okay, just watch.
I mean, that's why they're here, yes.
Alright, so...
Unless they're not watching and they're just listening to us talk about stuff, which is also a
These
possibility.
leaves! Okay. You fall down from these sections and you fall down to a lower part of the level. And the leaves are constantly lowering, so you need to get across these really fast to get to these stationary platforms that aren't lowering along with the leaves. So, you need to kind of rush through it. Although once you get past a certain point, you can afford to slow down a little. So, it's not as difficult as all that, but your goal is to reach this platform before the leaves get too low. And then once you're up here, jump on this one and then just let yourself fall through these specific boxes. Heart container. There you go. That's the kind of exploration that's very one and done whenever you try it. You really have to be searching for it to find it, and it's probably going to take multiple runs through the level to thoroughly explore what's down there. So...
Hi, turtle.
I mean...
I like turtles.
You can...
Oh, geez, that's an old meme. That's a really old meme.
You can jump through more than one of the boxes to get more of the tokens, because obviously the levels are designed in such a way that you can get all of the tokens. But yeah, it's rough. It is rough. Oh, damn it. The turtle is useless, okay? The turtle just handicaps you. Fuck this section.
Well, yeah, that looks like the whole point of it.
Yeah, because you're the turtle, you have to rely entirely on the bouncy webs in order to get anywhere. You can't...
I just say screw it and get myself through the level as fast as possible, then I don't care about this shit.
Well, there's keys and stuff to find, too.
Yeah, but I don't need to get that, so who cares?
Well, lives, which are very, very valuable in this game, you know. If you're playing normally without save states, they're even more valuable. I don't think, I'm not sure if the password system preserves how many lives you have. Or even...
I would doubt
or even
it.
how many heart containers you have. Fuck, I'll need to check on that. Because, like...
I'm sure it has heart container passwords.
I hope so. They are very complicated passwords, but... And I don't think the game preserves how many levels you 100%ed either.
Well, it doesn't seem to matter, so...
Yeah. Ooh, damn it. I like how some of the enemies are 3D models and some of them are very clearly, like, partially comprised of sprites.
A lot of
damn
games
it.
did that back in the day, where they would just jumble a bunch of 2D sprites together in order to make it look... I feel like that's the aspect of games from this era that has aged the worst. Because back in the day, when you were watching on a CRT TV, it really was harder to tell. Like, the best example I can think of is Mario Kart 64.
Yeah.
Where it took me years to realize that those were 2D sprites. And that's just because I was playing it on CRT for, 10 plus years. And, once you're playing it on a CRT, yeah, it's obvious that these are 2D sprites for the character models. But when you are playing it on an old TV and stuff, it actually does look really nice. It's just the HD upgrade that...
Well, it's like when you plug in your Nintendo or Super Nintendo or Genesis whatever mini on your big old fancy new, hyper 8K whatever TV, and it's just like it just looks ballooned to hell and it's garbage. And it's like, yeah, because these weren't meant for these kinds of TVs or aspect ratios.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, pretty much.
fuck. I got ninja'd by a log.
Well, I guess that makes sense, because logs are something that ninjas do actually use.
It's probably where Yoda's stick came from.
What, the Shadow Clone log jutsu?
No, I was actually talking about the bad lip reading song, My Stick.
Oh. Oh, you referenced this at some point.
His stick is better than
on.
bacon, you know. Which is a funny joke because he actually does. It is a stick that you can chew on to get some juice out of. So it is a snack. His stick. It could be better than bacon for all I know. I wonder if like they thought that was just a funny line, or they were actually referencing that part of the lore when they wrote that song.
Probably just a funny line.
I feel like most Star Wars writers, especially for stuff like the movies and TV shows, well, maybe less so for the TV shows, but like I'm sorry, I'm backtracking all over the place. For the like stuff like The Mandalorian, maybe I feel like they just kind of do what they want and let other people figure out how it matches with the lore later.
Well, yeah, that's the reason Disney started their own canon for Star Wars was so they could keep tighter editorial control over what appeared in canon and what didn't. Because people like harp on Disney for killing the expanded universe, but the expanded universe was routinely contradicted by everything George Lucas did. So,
it contradicted itself.
It contradicted
which,
itself.
Fair, happens when there's hundreds of novels.
Well, like the peak of expanded universe excellence is the Thrawn trilogy, right? Which was written before the prequel trilogy. And the Thrawn trilogy wasn't decanonized by Disney. It was decanonized by the prequel trilogy. Because, like, half the plot is contingent on this old speculative version of the Clone Wars that is the complete opposite of the Clone Wars we got. The clones were the bad guys. Some of them were insane. And you could, like, very easily clone Jedi, apparently. Which...
Wait, what?
Well, I mean, if you could clone other races, I don't see why anyone who's a Jedi would
apparently
be off
Force users.
Yeah, but would they have the same Force-ness?
Apparently, in canon, Force users were made like very hard to clone, which is why they couldn't just clone Jedi for the Republic Army. You know.
But I feel like if you were
but if they said it's just a biological
Force, perhaps, because like aren't midi-chlorians like an invasive species, or not like invasive species, but like your
gut bacteria.
Yeah, basically, you're not gonna have the same gut bacteria just because you're a freaking Jedi. You know, it's like clone you isn't necessarily going to have the same type of.
I'm not sure exactly how it works. Okay, I just know that at some point during like later George Lucas canon, it was made harder to clone Jedi, and that's important because the Thrawn trilogy assumed it was really easy to clone Jedi. Because
I think Lucas just didn't think very through as to why they just said no. You can't.
Like the reason it worked out like that is because George Lucas didn't pay any attention to the expanded universe.
No, I mean I'm talking purely about, well, why can't you just clone Jedi? You just can't. It's like, well, okay then.
Yeah. Well.
So we know that's the actual reason he didn't think that far through.
Yeah. Well, in any case, George Lucas routinely contradicted the expanded universe because he didn't care about it. Like there was an editorial arm of Lucasfilm that did, you know, exercise some authority over it, but George Lucas didn't oversee anything and say this is what I'm thinking of for the Clone Wars or anything. So, like, the Thrawn trilogy is on a level of quality that I would say is like a perfect sequel trilogy to the original trilogy, but also it doesn't match up with the prequel trilogy at all. So, yeah. And now we're in our, like, now, at this point in time, in the year 2020, I would say, like, buzzsaw levels are kind of, like, cliche in platformers.
They're a lot more common, because, like, Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, which is a fantastic game, by the way. You should play it. That has a buzzsaw level.
Galaxy.
They're very Donkey Kong Country. Yeah, Galaxy has one. It's one of those levels that started off being novel because it wasn't common, but now it is common, so it's not novel, really.
I do like the frickin' Ewok village in the background there, silent saying, no, the Star Wars tangent wasn't irrelevant.
Donkey Kong Country did it first.
Did it?
I mean, Donkey Kong Country didn't really do anything interesting with the setting.
No, I'm just talking about games using the not Ewok Village.
I mean, yeah, that's
thing.
true, but like the treetop level in Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah,
is
the
a normal
perspective
level.
on the background is nice because when you get higher into the level, like you can see like down in the bottom of the background, you can see like a top-down view of the cut-down trees.
Yeah, so I think a lot of it probably just has to do with how the thing is drawn.
Yeah, so
in
when
that
you
case,
when you scroll up, you see that particular perspective down below, but it's still like a forward-looking perspective higher up on the image. It just scrolls partially out of view to sell the illusion. That kind of stuff is clever, and it's the kind of stuff that a lot of good graphical designers in video games at the time had to make use of to overcome the limits of the time. And look down there, the background isn't even static. There's some animated, like, lumberjacks sawing a tree in the background. That's cool. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there was some stuff like that in the other levels too, with like the tree, that the bush that kept on blinking at us for some reason.
Well, there were some foreground-ish elements in the background, too. But I'm talking about an animated element in the single-scrolling background.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the bush that was blinking at us was part of the background, but I might be wrong.
It's cool how games that utilized static background elements sometimes manage to work animation into it. Like, you saw some of that in the later sequels in the Myst series. Like, I think starting with Myst 3, you started to see some, like, really animated objects within the pre-rendered background rather than just the pre-rendered background cutting to a short FMV when it wanted to make something happen.
One thing that I will say that I really like about this game is that the levels are very kinetic. They move around a lot.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty cool.
Pandemonium has a very, very nice feel to it. The sign doing that little cartoony bobbing back and forth thing reminds me of Gex, though. Which is a relevant enough comparison since Crystal Dynamics also did Gex.
Oh, that's where I recognized the name from. They also did some other stuff, right? Like they did Hitman?
Crystal Dynamics has done a lot of stuff, including, I think, like... are they in charge of Modern Tomb Raider? Is that Eidos? Or what? I know Crystal Dynamics and Eidos are connected.
I think it's Crystal Dynamics now for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew Tomb Raider definitely sounded familiar as well.
Yeah, I mean, old school Tomb Raider was core design, but I think Crystal Dynamics became the publisher after the first game, or was the publisher with the first game, but exercised more creative control later. I'm not really sure. I'd have to look it up, and I don't have time to because we're almost at the end of the part, so why bother?
I mean, you still got 2 minutes.
Yeah, I know, but by the time those 2 minutes are over, I won't have found what I'm looking for.
A minor thing that I like is how the saws are bouncy, because if you've actually seen a saw like that, they actually do like wobble around if you mess with them.
Oh yeah, they do.
Not that I would ever unsafely play with workshop tools. Nope.
One thing
not me.
that's a little awkward about the section, though, is that when you pass through a platform, unlike in 2D platformers where you would just keep going, the collision detection is such that if you pass through the bottom of these moving 3D platforms,
Yeah, you just snap to it.
yeah, you snap to it. It's not great.
It's very weird.
It's awkward. It also makes it impossible to predict where you'll stop when you bounce upward because you don't necessarily know whether or not there's a platform there waiting for you. Oh, boom. There we go. Alright. I think we're at the end. Oh, there's the... there's the exit. The exit's right up there, and I keep falling down. This section is harder than it looks, okay?
Okay, the plank thing is going back and forth.
Yeah.
I thought another plank had come from the right side and magically just made the one you're going on towards the right disappear.
You can't wait too close to the end either because it ducks down. You see? I screwed up my jump that way.
At least we know you finish it in the next 20 seconds.
Yeah.
I like how there are 2 signs that tell you to go right next to each other, just in case you weren't
Go this
sure.
way, dumbass.
Well, it's a platformer. We kind of assume we have to go to the right. That's kind of how they work.
Do any platformers, like, not from the very, very earliest days of the NES make you ever go left? Because I feel like if you're trying to do that, then you just are trying to be different just to be different.
I don't know. Apart from like later platformers that became multi-tier and zigzaggy, not really. Can't think of any. Uh, anyway, that was the end of part 5. See you all next time with part 6, in which uh, I think there's like a few more heart containers to get, and I think we might be getting the next one next part. We'll see.